did them in very few takes when he actually got in the studio in the early albums. But once you have to go back and write new stuff, and write new songs, and write new solos and stuff, it may not be, it may be between tours, it may be on the bus, it may be, you don't know. It's.
There's only a couple of his solos that to me sound like they were worked out.
I agree.
The one on Right Now sounds like it was worked out, for example.
Yeah, and on Dreams.
Dreams sounds worked out. But there's like a handful of them.
But that's Sammy era too, that's not Dave era.
The only one from Dave era.
Yeah, I think Dave era was drink a bottle of Blue Nun and hit the red button.
Yeah. But I mean, you have like Blue
not that we would condone this, but
it sounded melodic to me, like a melodic idea.
That's what he drank.
His head was
Blue Nun wine, man. We love that shit.
The way he starts that solo.
No. I saw him on Entertainment Tonight.
But he plays a melody. It's usually just.
But then the rest of it was like, it goes into that weird stuff. But I mean, it's like,
he's not what I call an overly melodic player.
No, not at all.
He doesn't.
Actually, I had this really amazing argument with a friend of mine about Eddie Van Halen's lack of vibrato. Yeah. And my buddy goes, he's got a vibrato. I was like,
he's got
a fucking 12-year-old boy, he's got a vibrato, but he doesn't have bass. Floyd Royce?
Yeah, ask David Gilmour if he's got a vibrato.
Now, David Gilmour. Here's another guy. David Gilmour's way of recording solos is he'll do 3 takes, then he sits and listens to the lick, and he has a little checklist, and he makes checks for the licks he likes. And then I don't know.
And then they go comp them.
Yeah, he comps them on the tape and puts it together.
I know what Lifeson does is he does 3 or 4 passes, and then Getty comps it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Getty sits and pieces it together, and then Alex goes back and learns it.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that's.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know.
Somebody's cell phone, I think.
Oh, it's Jeb's cell phone. Like Lifeson, man. Lifeson's a guy that, like, his solos always get me.
Well, he'll do, he'll go in and just do, like, like he says, he'll do 3 or 4 shots, and then he'll leave the room.
Right. And Getty will put it together.
He'll go somewhere else, and Getty and the producer piece it together.
Right.
And then if they need to do a part over again, he'll do it over. But generally, that's how they do them.
That's cool.
Because I think he was just driving himself crazy trying to do it himself. So he lets the third party is a little more objective.
Lifeson's one of those guys that like I've always loved Lifeson's playing. Always. I mean, like.
There's something to be said for having somebody else do that for you too.
Yeah,
if you've got somebody in your band that you can ask.
Yeah.
Whose opinion you value. If you lay down a solo, let them vote.
It's very important. I have a really tough time doing anything by consensus with my playing. I have a really tough time with
But some people don't have that problem. Yeah, I'm kind of a control freak myself.
Yeah,
but
it's like my thing is my thing. That's kind of how I feel. I have a tough time with that. But yeah, if people are comfortable doing it, then that's what I would suggest to do. But my biggest thing, and I'll say it again, I harp on this with all my students, and it's be patient with yourself. Because you're not going to become a guitar god overnight. It takes a long time to do it.
Your first solos may sound like C.C. DeVille on the first Poison record.
Yeah, I mean,
there's another thing.
But you know what? You say what you will about C.C.
He made a lot of money.
C.C. had a lot of fucking heart. I'll give it to C.C. When I listen to C.C. now...
C.C. tagged a lot of ass, too.
Yeah, he tagged a lot of ass, made a lot of money, but he also had a really great attitude about it. There was an interview with him...
He's a rocker.
Well, there was an interview with him in the 80s in Guitar World magazine. I'll never forget this. It was before he got kicked out of the band. And they were talking to him about the music he makes. And he's like, dude, I'm not fucking Beethoven. I'm making cheeseburgers here for a living. He's like, this is fast food music. I know what this is. And he had a great attitude about who he was and where his place was and what he was doing. And I had a lot of respect for the guy. And when you listen to stuff like the later solos, as like whatever, Every Rose Has its Thorn and stuff like that, where he got a Strat and he tried to get better, he tried to get more musical, he gave it effort. And that's something that I think is the most important part. If you put in the effort and the effort is real, you're going to improve. If you have effort and you really want it. It happened to me. My nickname used to be Joe NT. NT means no talent. Because when I started playing, all my friends were better than me. And they used to make fun of me because I couldn't play. But that gave me the impetus.
Look who's laughing now.
Yeah, none of my friends can play. None of my friends play anymore. I'm the only one that's left to play. And I'm by far the best player out of all those guys. Because that gave me
he who laughs last wins.
Yeah, that and the fact that I was a Rocky fanatic gave me the discipline to sit down and practice 8 hours a day and play. And I would hear like the bell ring in the morning when I'd wake up and go.
I just loved it.
Me too.
There was a point in my life when that's pretty much all I did.
Yeah.
You know, just sit down and try to. It's like, all right, we're gonna figure out how this works today. You know, and you just work on it until you can do it.
Have patience. And the other thing is, when you're working on your technique, watch your hands in a mirror.
That's a really good thing.
Watch
Your hands will cheat like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know mine do. If you don't pay attention to them, they wander off and tend to do their own thing.
Watch your hands in a mirror. You'll be able to look at yourself the way somebody else will look at you.
That was something I was going to ask you about. Go back to the physical stuff we were talking about.
Right.
Okay, so as a older guitar player who is not maybe taking care of himself as well as he should have, you know, because like I said, I'm a seat of the pants kind of guy. So I have left hand problems.
Right.
And, you know, as we saw when we were doing the exercises, I don't have the flexibility that you guys have, any of you.
Well,
and,
I mean, I'll tell you something.
So is there a in addition to the exercises, and, you know, I know that guitar setups and stuff like that are very personal things, and it's probably hard to nail it down to, you know, specific things. But if you had a student who was having issues with hand problems or tendonitis or cramping or stuff like that. So are there any like setup things that you suggest for them, or things that you might have them do to their guitar to make life easier for them?
You know what? It's tough for me because to come like with that kind of thing, I could suggest exercises on the guitar that you can do to kind of fix that, like or to help your hands.
Yeah.
The biggest deal for me is if you have tendonitis or carpal tunnel or that kind of stuff, you need some kind of physical exercise away from the instrument.
Right.
Anybody that's read my post on like you, I used yoga. I don't know how many times I said it. Yoga is a big deal. I'm really fortunate in the fact that when I was a little kid, my mom got me into yoga. I mean, little, like 12, 13 years old, I started doing yoga. And
a lot of that's just getting all the tension out of your system too.
Out of your system, getting your shoulders to relax. Like I'm one of those people that I walk around my shoulders like this. I live in New York, so I'm like this all the time.
I tense up. I noticed that like if there's a section, you know, and part of it's my own damn fault for playing music that's on the edge of what I'm technically able to do.
Right.
You know, I notice when I get to certain sections, I'll tense up, and I will actually, if I stop and think about it, I will realize that okay, I'm pulling back.
One of the sayings,
you know, like this on the guitar, and you have to just say.
One of the sayings I've had for many years to my students is, if you tense up, you fuck up. It's that simple. If you tense up, you fuck up. And like what Dave was saying before about practicing to a drum machine and stuff like that, that's when you afford yourself the ability, that's practice time. That's when you afford yourself the ability to not be tense. Okay, that's when, like the cool thing about having a drum machine is if you take apart, like let's say YYZ, you know, the one run, that one run in the beginning after the all right, I was trying to learn that.
Trash can.
Yeah, I was trying to learn that lick forever. I couldn't play it now because I don't remember it, but it starts on an upbeat.
Yep.
And I couldn't fucking get it forever. I was like, motherfucker.
And it's a goddamn triplet, too.
Yeah, it's goddamn triplet.
It's like it starts on an upbeat, it's a fucking triplet. Yeah.
So again, what do? We be patient. And I took my drum machine, I slowed it the fuck down. Slow, like less than half speed. And I sat, and I mean, this is a year ago, 2 years ago that I was trying to learn this. It wasn't when I was a kid. And I sat down really patiently and went as slow as I could and looked at what my hands were doing, and then slowly sped it up. And some of the rules, if you tense up, you fuck up. Only play as quickly as you can play perfectly.
Yeah.
Like that's what a lot of people do. I'll see guys doing exercises, and the synchronization between their right and left hands is off.
Yep.
Because they're trying to impress me by playing fast.
It's better to play it slow and play it right.
Yeah, play it perfectly. You'll get more out of it, you know. And if you play it slowly, and you play something slowly without making